What's up, Wave Healer Nation? Welcome back to another episode. I'm very excited. We were able to make this happen, and I had the opportunity from Lionsgate and from the good people at Cinematic Red PR to review a really fun comedy called The Re-Education of Molly Singer, and we have the director here with us, Andy Palmer. Andy, thank you so much for spending your time with us this morning.
Hello, I waved, and I think this is all audio. So I literally just did a wave to the non-air waves. Perfect.
We saw it out in the ether, so yeah, thank you.
All right.
Andy, tell us a little bit about this project and tell us how you were able to come on it. It was really fun. So
Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, I always wanted to do comedies. I had sort of come up both in editing and then also directing. I started in directing some horror films and did some horror comedies and felt very comfortable in that comedy space. And so I was editing a film for the writer producer Todd Friedman, and he asked me what I wanted to do next, and probably thinking that I wanted to do a horror film. And I said, "Oh, I would love to do like a throwback comedy, like a Weird Science or something like that." And he was like, I got a script like that." And so he sent me the script, and it was called The Re-Education of David Singer. So it was a little bit different, and it was, he and Kevin had written it a few years earlier, and so it definitely had that old school American Pie sort of vibe, and I love the concept of it. The back to school again, and it was very reminiscent of Weird Science. So I pitched them some ideas on maybe making it a little bit more modern. I like the idea of like a female Van Wilder. I thought that would be really cool to see. We hadn't seen that before. So we talked about switching the protagonist to be a female, and then sort of modernizing, the jokes and the humor. I think comedy is an ever evolving thing, and you want to try to keep it, new and fresh and of the time. And that's what we did. We rewrote the script, and then as we started sending the script out to agents and to actors, the response was really positive, and everybody just started coming on board, and we were good to go at that point.
yeah, that's awesome, man. Before we get into that too, how long have you and Todd known each other?
Todd and I met Todd a few years ago, 2019. And
Mm-hmm.
so, yeah, my producing partner, Warner Davis, had done all my films.
Mm-hmm.
He was working with Todd on the movie Collection, and
Mm-hmm.
they brought me on to edit. And then we just really hit it off in post. We just spent a lot of time together in post on that movie. And Todd and I are very similar in like, we're just pop culture fans. We love 80s movies. And so, we'd be sitting at dinner, and poor Warner, who, tries to, loves movies, but is probably not encyclopedic like Todd and I are, is just like, I've never seen The Last American Virgin. I didn't know that was even a movie. So Todd and
Yeah,
I are like breaking down scene by scene.
yeah, no, and I mean that's perfect. I mean that makes for a great team. You sometimes you want people on the team who have no prior knowledge of anything,
Yeah.
so you can take
Yeah.
risks like that. So you guys make a great team. Like you said, this had a really reminiscent feel of like early 2000s teenager movies. When I was a teenager, I probably watched a
Yep.
lot of those movies way too young, but
Yep. Yep.
it was refreshing because I feel like the audience today, we still kind of want that, and we're missing it, and we can't do a lot of that stuff anymore. So this
Yep.
was a nice refresh that kind of takes you back to that, but like you said, in a newer day and age. Um,
Yeah.
tell us a little bit more about the plot, because there are some big, I think, like deeper plot points here, and just from my standpoint, my perspective, like what I noticed is like you said, there's like this girl Van Wilder, right? And
Mhm.
she kind of, to a point, she kind of chose to where she wasn't really fully prepared for the real world. But I remember having
Yep.
that thought while I was in college, like, you know what? Like, I feel like college is just you're learning more about life and not necessarily about the stuff that you
Yeah.
went to school
Yeah.
for. And it's like, if you can stay up and stay out all weekend and party all weekend, but then wake up and like do your job the next day, you can make it in the real world. So it was kind of that message of, hey man, like school is not, like the traditional system is not getting us ready for work, and that may be part of our choice, but at the same time, like the way it's set up, that's what we're going into. So tell us a little bit about that. Like, was that intentional, or was that kind of more of, yeah, it's a nice little side plot?
No, I think that it's really reminiscent. It's really directly lifted from, I think, a lot of like a lot from Todd in the fact that like Todd is an incredibly successful attorney and has built a monster practice, and I think but always loved film. And so I think there's a lot of Molly in him in this idea that like he's gone this path and he's incredibly good and successful at what he does. But I see him on set when we're on set and how much fun he's having, and when we're talking about movies and we're in the edit room and we're giving notes and stuff like that, and so you kind of see that joy in him, and I think now he's at this point finding that nice balance of those two things, and I think that's really what it's all about. And I think you're totally right. I think college often prepares you for not necessarily just a job, but it prepares you how to be, a grown up, and take responsibility and show up to class on time and stuff like
Right.
stuff like that. But there also is room to party. And in Molly's case, it's not so much. Molly thinks that it was the partying. She thinks that it was like that sort of carefreeness of college that she loved, and that's what she's always chasing. That's what she makes her feel good. But really, what it is that Molly is the type of person that makes everyone around her better. And so like those moments of joy and stuff like that at a bar and stuff like that is probably because people want to be around her. She's this sort of electric personality, and then she sort of brings out their personalities and stuff like that. And that yet she's stuck in a job where she only sees the worst in people. Like she's a divorce attorney, so she spends her entire day with people, at each other's throats, and there's no satisfaction in that regard, and that's what she has to find. She has to go back to that place, not to go back and party, but to basically figure out that what she does is bring out the best in people, or as she, I think at the end quotes, turn these shy little caterpillars into motherfucking butterflies.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You hit the nail on the head. That was the next part is you see her go through this journey. Our main character, Molly Singer, she fails essentially as an attorney. She gets this really awesome stipulation, but kind of funny, but kind of weird, from her supervisor to go back and like make her son cooler again, if you will, and then or like
that
you said,
only celluloid could deliver.
Yeah, and like you said, make him come out of his shell or out of his become a butterfly and from a caterpillar, and then
Yep.
he and then she realizes that's like you said, that's what she loves to do. Like that's actually her purpose in life. It wasn't to do the traditional way, and I think people can connect with that in so many different ways. It's like we go through this whole journey of life and we fail so much, and we think that it's all falling apart, but actually it's all being put together, and we're actually finding out like, all right. And I think I'd like you said at the end, I think she becomes, what is it, a counselor or a teacher later on, because she feels like that's
we don't even know. She's just talking to like these kids, like we really don't even know what Molly's doing, but what we do know is she's super happy.
Yes, yeah, and it's like that's, you got to go through this journey, and you got to go through all these different, you go through life before you find out what you really love doing and what you're really good at, like you said, which is bringing out the best in people. This could have went different ways though. I mean, this could have been a drama film. So how did you guys do such a great job of weaving it into a comedy and introducing us to, like you said, all these fun items and things that, which still had nostalgia? Like it was such a combination of everything great. So I mean, as filmmakers, you guys did a really great job. Tell us how that kind of came to life.
Yeah. Well, first of all, you just cast amazing. We cast amazing actors, and I always say that 90% of my directing is just casting, because I'm not one that is on set being like, you are a butterfly and your wings will, like I'm not that guy. And so it's really important to me to cast the right people. But I do have a good sense of, how people are going to fit into those roles, how they're going to deliver lines and stuff like that. And so, and we were just really fortunate that, I mean, when we were rewriting the script with Kevin and Todd and I was like, I think, because originally Polly's character, his name was Hoss, and he was kind of more Stifler from American Pie. He was sort of the troublemaking friend, And I was like, I think that we still want that sort of kind of raw, biting humor, tells it like it is sort of thing, but in a little bit more of a nuanced way. And I was like, kind of like a Nico Santos. And I mean, I literally said his name, and then he got submitted. for the role, and I was like, "This is our guy. Like, go get him. He's the guy. We wrote this with with him in mind." And so we were really lucky in that realm. And same with Jaime Pressly, who's just she is commanding her her force is commanding in person. Like when you meet her, you just kind of stand up straighter, and and she's just electric. And so she just was so great at being Brenda, and they're really great at figuring out the nuance of a scene. What's funny but not too over the top, and I credit the cast for being amazing at that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that's a great thing too. You talk about being reminiscent of these early teen movies. Jaime Pressly was in Not Another Teen
Yeah,
Movie and stuff like Joe Dirt. So she kind of brought that aura, or like you said, that energy or vibe to it. And then I'm personally a big fan of Insidious and Conjuring, so it was really exciting to see Ty in the main role there. And like you said, I'm a big fan of Superstore. I was there at Comic Con when they were at the panel pre-COVID. So
yeah.
seeing Nico live, he has a very charismatic way to him that is very comedic, like you said. So it's really cool to have seen that ensemble, all of them come together and work so well. And I love the blooper reel at the end. So I feel like I don't know, working with that cast and that group. What was it like on set with them? It just seems like it was a big playground.
It was 100% a playground. We have a lot of external factors. Every indie movie is stressful. There's stuff that happens. We were dealing with, we were dealing with COVID a little bit and
Hmm.
stuff like that. Not in the realm of like anyone having it, but more in the realm of like just lots of testing,
Hmm.
and we were kind of coming on the backside of it. But at the same time, Atlanta was going crazy with movies at that time, and so it was like there were like 80 some movies being shot, and so we were losing locations, and our crew was always getting better jobs, and so there was a lot of external factors. But our actors were, we, my producers Warner, my line producer Eli, like these guys they're so good at not letting the actors feel that. And so when everybody got on set, it was a total playground, and we had a lot of fun. And it was just everybody's different in their process. Britt is her level of preparedness is amazing. She had a binder that was like this thick, that was the script and then all of her notes and the way she breaks stuff down. And she would always do stuff exactly like it was scripted, and then I could throw her any line, I could reorder anything, say it like this first and then come here and stuff like that, and she would just get it right off the bat, just immediately get it. Nico would come in every morning and be like, "Hey, I think these lines might be funnier. I worked on this last night," and so we would like throw those lines. And then for Ty was so interesting because he was coming off The Whale. He only, he'd done mostly like dramas and action movies and stuff like that, horror movies.
Hmm.
And so for him, it was this like crash course in comedic acting.
Hmm.
And so there was a lot of Elliot in Ty in the realm of like he felt a little fish out of water at the beginning, and about like the difference between drama acting and comedy drama, and stuff like that. And so he and I would start working, and then he just got progressively more comfortable the entire time. And really, there's this really funny blooper at the end when we're kind of doing this like dolly push-in, and it's the three of them on a couch, and he's like, and I had thrown him a line that like an improv line that I wanted him to say, and he was doing the thing, and he looks up and he's like, "Oh, what did you want me to say again?"
Hmm.
And everybody laughs, and it was at that point like he was at total comfort. He got what we were doing and stuff like that, and so he became this like genius comedic actor by the by the end of it all. Almost his arc almost like paralleling Elliot in that way.
Yeah, no, it was really wonderful to see, and I felt like Britt and Ty as Molly and Elliot did have really great chemistry, which was definitely needed for this movie, and I feel like Britt just did such an amazing job because all of them did. I mean, Jamie makes you hate her as a supervisor, but then you kind of feel bad for her because she's like, a mom trying to raise a son. And then Britt, she's like, I just felt like she's like your friend that you wanted in college and that you want to hang out with and party with. But then, like you said, like she brings out the best in people. So, with that said, I know this, we talked about this, it's kind of a general topic. But I used to be a scare actor at Universal Horror Nights, and
Oh, nice.
and the director, the creative director, he would say, I build the playground, or I build the maze, or I build the equipment, and then I let my actors come in and do their job. So kind of how do you find that balance, like as a director and as a filmmaker, to give them kind of the blueprint or the outline, and then let them come in and play and do their creative genius, but at the same time, give them the direction that you want.
Yeah. So the two elements for me that are the most important, like, job that I have when I'm on set, are setting a tone for a scene, knowing the tone for a scene. What are the goals of all these characters, and does it feel right?
Mm-hmm.
And then second, properly blocking a scene, and creating movement within the frame and stuff like that. Not harping on shots, but basically, like, where do the actors go?
Mm-hmm.
And when you start walking the actors through that, they start to feel that, and then you're giving them these sort of like loose parameters for movement and stuff like that, and then it sort of be that then they take it and they become, oh, maybe I'll move over here, and you're like, yeah, that's good, and stuff like that. So giving them giving them an idea of what you want to see, what our goal is of the scene, and then letting them sort of play within that. And then the words don't become as precious to me, the words that they're saying, as long as the goal is the same. So then they have the freedom to basically make the character their own. And like I said, everybody sort of did it differently. Is like Britt would, like, was like really, really preparing for exactly the way the script was, but then could turn on a dime if I had an idea. Nico would bring a bunch of ideas, and then Jamie was very, like, direct, and, like, she would be like, I don't think I would say this, but then would bring an amazing, like, but I think I would say it this way, and I'm like, oh yeah, that works perfectly. So everybody was just wanting to participate, wanting to put their own spin on stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no. We got another guest in the building. Andy's dog.
Oh, yeah. Hercules likes to make cameos.
Yeah.
As much as he possibly can.
Andy, this was really cool, man. It's been really fun. As we start to wind down here, tell us a little bit about, does Molly have potentially, is there more story to tell? Do you see, maybe like you said, other spinoffs of this, or could there just be other movies coming down the line that kind of had the similar tones, like reminiscent of those early 2000s? Because it was a really refreshing comedy, and I feel like you don't get this a lot, so.
Well, I do hope we see more of them. I think comedy's been tricky. I think that the world is changing very fast, and so comedy, comedy has to evolve with it. And comedy's job is always to be, like, pushing societal norms and needling at power structures and stuff like that. But I think the difference being is that now the comedy has a responsibility of not marginalizing certain groups for the benefit of laughter, rather than, and this is sort of our philosophy with Molly, is that if you poke fun at everyone and you're a little meta in realizing that, yes, you've gone down this trope, but we sort of get, but we're hinting to the audience is like, yes, we went down this road, but here's how we sort of redeem it and bring it back. I think that's how comedy can evolve, and and you're seeing it more and more in comedies, and I think coming out of something like the pandemic, I think what happens is when you have a big crisis, oftentimes the first artwork that comes out of it is sort of a commentary on it, and you almost lean into the trauma a little bit of it. And so it's like when a disaster happens, you start to see little, like, disaster movies and stuff like that. We sort of lean into that. But then on the backside of things, as you're coming out of things like a pandemic or something like that, people need the release, they need the laugh. And so, yeah, I hope there's a big smattering of comedies, and I hope I get to direct a bunch of them.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. Well, Andy, I asked this final question for you. I asked this to all our guests. How has this project and working in the industry in general, how has it been healing, therapeutic, fun, cathartic, exciting for you and all the people around you?
Yeah, I think that for me, I just like to, I'm a people pleaser. I like to make people happy. And so movies, when I watch a movie and an audience laughs, I'm a nervous wreck until that first laugh. And I can tell you that when we watched the cast screening of this movie, the first laugh happened during the oat milk scene, and when they're having dinner, and really like that, that's a few minutes in, so I was a nervous wreck for a long time, and then the oat milk line hit, and then it just sort of progressively started laughing more and more. And for me, I'm like, I personally, with my meager skill set, can't bring much more to the world than just to make people laugh and forget about their troubles for a few hours. So if I can do that, I'll be a happy guy.
Yeah, no, we definitely appreciate it, Andy. We need the laugh. So, Andy, it's been so much fun, man. Thank you so much for coming on here. You're welcome to come back anytime, and I hope to see you out here in some of these conventions. So,
all right, I love me some conventions. Absolutely, I'm in.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you go catch out the Re-Education of Molly Singer, coming to select theaters and on demand very soon, September 29th, end of September, and we will catch you guys on the next one.